Hello again. So I am making another video and today is very similar to the one that I previously did. So obviously if you watched my last video, I discussed what journals I have and the purpose that they have as well. So today is very similar, but today I wanted to do more specific detailing on the types of journaling that you could do. So purely because it's my favourite notebook, I'm going to start off with this one. Now, if you've watched my last video, then you'll know that this is a Commonplace journal. So basically what that means is it's almost like it's for when you want to tune in information a little bit deeper. Like when you watch something, you know when like you're watching a video and they'll be talking about something. So like I was watching a video about like 2026 kind of like glow up diaries, that kind of thing, just classic girl YouTube stuff. And the girl was talking about like exercise, she was talking about BDNF, and if you don't know what that is, it's brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and it's basically something that is responsible for like the rejuvenation of your brain, to put it in simple terms. And it's just little things like that, like it's just little buzzwords that then later on you can go and like research and be like, oh, that sounded cool. I want to go and like look into that further and further investigate that. So like just pausing the video and taking a note. Hello, so change of scenery. What happened was my mum actually came and picked me up and we've gone for a massage. So she's getting a massage at the moment, and I'm in the car for an hour waiting for my turn. So that's why I'm in the car. So what I was saying before I was kindly interrupted by my mother to ask if I wanted to come for a massage was Commonplace journaling. So as I say, I've got my journal. I absolutely love it. Like I was like very much aware that the theme of this video is very similar to the last video, and I was like, my thumbnail's literally just going to be me once again, like, got my book. So, Commonplace journaling. I know I have previously mentioned this, but the idea behind Commonplace journaling, it's when you want to tune into information, it's when you really want to encode something a little bit deeper. It's when you want to really hone in and like bring some emphasis around something so that you're more likely to recall it, or that you've got a practical thing to look back on, like note keeping. And I think it's, it's very similar to like when you're studying, when you're in school, obviously you make notes, but it's just about day-to-day life, because I think a lot of the times life can pass us by. And I know I mentioned this in my last video in terms of the prospect of journaling and why it's so important, is that it offers this opportunity to relive experiences and moments that would have otherwise been forgotten. I wonder if I can put the, no, never mind. I was like, can I put the light on? Anyways, it provides this opportunity for you to relive moments that otherwise would have been forgotten and would have gone to waste, not gone to waste, but that would have been forgotten. And I think that that's beautiful, because in the same way that you would have a photo album or keep like a photo scrapbook kind of thing, or like that you've got your Snapchat memories, like in the same way that we take photographs to remember things and videos, there's something so powerful and significant about writing it down, because that's further increasing the time that you've spent with the sensation, with the moment. Like when we think about the world and the sense of like wanting to have control over how we feel and who we are on the inside, because you can't control other people, you can't control your environment in that regard, but you can control, to a degree, you can influence who you are. Another style of journaling that I really like is a little bit more abstract, and that is, I just call it chaos journaling, because I don't even necessarily write words. Sometimes it's a non-verbal form of like journaling and like expression. Journaling doesn't even have to be vocabulary, it doesn't even have to be language. Sometimes I will literally sit there with my pen and paper and I'll be thinking the thoughts, but when you're journaling and you actually get into it and you're like, oh my god, because then this, and then because, and it can be quite emotional, it can be quite powerful, like quite passionate. When you feel like your hand can't keep up and you're writing and you can't keep up. I literally allow myself to just scribble and just to think the thoughts, and I'm not even writing words. It probably looks insane, but to think the thoughts and just have the motion of doing it, and it really helps. It really helps compared to just sort of, oh, there's a full moon, compared to just thinking the thoughts and spiraling, because there is that sense of embodiment almost of, I don't know, I probably should have done some research before I did this video so I could tell you the psychological components of everything that I'm suggesting and why I think it works. But I was not that prepared, nevertheless. Because that's how it feels good. It feels cathartic. Like, that's how chaos journaling should feel. It should feel cathartic. And that's for when you feel like you're at the brim. Like, you're boiling with emotions and with thoughts and with feelings. And you feel overwhelmed. You feel overstimulated. And you know that you need to make some kind of order of your thoughts, but you don't even know where to start. That's when I find this really helpful. Another form of journaling is sort of like matter of fact. And this is how I started off journaling. So I started off journaling by writing very much like Tuesday the 8th of December. And I'd be like, today I woke up at 9 and I had my breakfast and I made my bed and then I went on a walk with my dog. And and it was very like just matter of fact. And that can feel tedious, but sometimes that's what you need to get into the rhythm. Because sometimes, when you're just in a fettle, when you're just in a mood, and you can't even locate where it's coming from, and you can't even like figure out what it is that's wrong. You're just in an unshakable mood. You're in a huff. Sometimes just sitting down and writing down and be like, and then I woke up, and then it helps you to find the moment when the mood went sour, and it helps you to piece together what's going on. Sometimes that's really informative in terms of providing you with the opportunity to reflect and understand actually where some of these feelings are coming from, what they are, and that they're there as well. Because I think a lot of the times we're in autopilot. Like, for example, right now, if I tell you unclench your jaw, I'm sure that 80% of you will go, oh, shit, yeah. We hold, on a day-to-day basis, we hold emotions and we store stress in the body that we're not even aware of, that it's there until it's brought to our conscious attention. And sometimes it's like all our conscious attention can focus on is the stress in our body. But nevertheless, I think journaling is a fantastic opportunity because it's a good opportunity where if you feel like it's the only thing that you can focus on, like you feel really anxious, you feel really upset, you feel like very like highly emotional and highly reactive, journal. If you feel underwhelmed, journal. Like, it's about finding the balance, and it can benefit you no matter what stage of life or no matter what kind of cycle that you're feeling like you're in at the moment and whatever kind of state that you feel like you're in. And I think that that's really fantastic. Another type of journaling is more investigative, and this is more fine-tuned and it's more intentional. And this is sort of having a prompt that maybe you find, like maybe in like something like Evergreen, you respond to those. And I think I do really enjoy this. For me, I think especially when I'm out of the routine of journaling, having prompts there is so helpful because sometimes you don't even know what it is that you want to talk about. And sometimes you can feel, especially I know I touched on this in my last video, of the idea of becoming so busy that you start to feel like you've lost yourself a little bit. And I know that feeling and I know how that feels. And I think that sometimes when you feel like your day's not yours, you wake up in the morning, you go to work, you're subject to everybody else's mood. And, or like you wake up in the morning, you go see your family, you go see your friends, something's got, and like a lot of the time you are, as a part of, existing within a society, a lot of the time you are a product of other people's experiences and other people's input of emotion and thoughts and feelings, etc. So having that time to come in and establish who you are, the things that I know uphold the creation that I have created, which is my current modern self, the things that uphold, that are the pillars that uphold me, begin to deteriorate because I'm not maintaining them when I am too busy. And I think that's setting the intention that you are worthy of attention and setting the intention that you are worthy of maintenance, that you need maintenance, like to understand what a problem is, like when you feel like you're just not yourself, because maybe you're at a stage in life where, you're a bit younger and you don't have a very secure sense of self and you've never really known who you are, like, and that feels like quite an abstract or quite an unapproachable territory. Or maybe you're at a stage in life where you're a bit older and you did know who you were last year, but right now you feel like they're gone or that they're unreachable. There's a lot of discussion within the spiritual community about the idea of like the higher self and the idea of like, you know, reaching your higher self and like ascension and things like that. And I love it, but I've always kind of cringed at just the name, the higher self. So I really like the idea of referring to it personally when I journal as the moderator, because I like to think of it like this. You know, you're a dual human being, like you experience duality as a human being, and you have different components, different parts of yourself that have been created through different experiences and different emotions and different memories for different reasons, with different functions for different purposes. And a lot of the time, subconsciously, similarly to how I said, perhaps you've got tension in your jaw without realising. Sometimes the thoughts that we have and the emotions that we feel are driven from parts of us and places that we've experienced, things that we've experienced and places mentally that we've been previously. And we are unaware that is, when we say going in autopilot, and we're not necessarily aware of who's in the driving seat right now. So I know that I did a blog a while ago called Meet the Cast. Meet the Cast. The idea is currently from me that there are 3 parts of us that a lot of the time subconsciously are competing for our attention. So for example, the protector. So the protector is the part of us that kind of, it's in the name, that steps in and wants to protect us, but it doesn't always necessarily behave within our best interests. So for example, the protector, and I know this is very cringe and esoteric, but I don't care. The protector. So this is, for example, the part of us that just wants to get us out of this feeling and out of this situation immediately. It wants immediate results. It's why people smoke. It's why people drink. It's why people turn to bad habits, because you need a sense of relief. You need a sense of change. And the brain remembers an altered state. It remembers that we were going through something, we were feeling negative. The protector, let's call it, steps in and says, right, we need to do something. We need to change the state because this is not a nice feeling. And you smoke a cigarette or you have a drink, and it's a change in state. And even if it comes with nausea, you know, you have a vape, even if, you know, now you need a poo and you feel nauseous and a bit nasty, but the brain still records that and recollects that as a release, because it's a change of state. Hello there. So I was just editing that and I just wanted to add in, like, in regards to the protector, think of it this way. Like, if you're driving your car in the middle of the night and there's a man in the woods and like there's something scary, you're not bothered about getting a scratch in the car. You take the route that is most immediate. Or like if you're getting out of a burning building, like there's danger, you're not bothered about the consequence of you jumping out of a window. You just know that you need to get out of this building. Like the protector, to give it a cringe name, it's the part of your brain, it's the fight or flight that kicks in, you know? And I just think sometimes it's nice to give them names, because then you can work with them a little bit more fluidly. And equally for like potentially a younger audience, this might be something that resonates, that you can start a piece together that, oh, actually sometimes I do behave like this and sometimes I do feel like this. So yeah, thanks. Sorry that this is getting so dark. I'm sorry, I can't do anything. Then you've got the critic. So the critic is the sort of, it's in the name, like it's the part that criticises because it wants to prevent this from happening again in the future. So you can think about that as like a future tense. Antagonist, you know, you can think about that in terms of future tense. So the critic is the part of you that says, this happened because you did this, or actually no, this happened because you didn't do this, you failed to do this. And again, like, that's necessary. Like, I'm not saying that to be a whole happy person that you need to ignore the parts of you that talk like this and that say these things. It's very important that you listen to them, but when you are dysregulated, now is not the time. And what I'm saying is that journaling is a really fantastic opportunity to regulate yourself so that you can address what these parts of you are saying, because they're all very important and they're all competing for your attention. It's operating from a sense of survival. Like, it's your brain trying to look after you. And when you think about that, like, when you really think, I know I've said this in my last video, I love the brain. I think it's fantastic. I think it's fascinating. Because when you come from a place of self-awareness and compassion, that no matter what your brain is telling you, more than likely it's doing it because it's trying to keep you alive. You begin to understand that while it might not propose the best ideas all the time, with practice it can propose better ideas, and with exposure to positive stimuli it can begin to present better ideas that do support you and that do look after you. But you need to maintain your pillars, girl. You gotta look after yourself. You've got to put in the maintenance. Journaling, you've got to put in the maintenance, address the cracks and fill them in. Otherwise it can't support you, and then you can't be a prosperous, lovely individual. Hello again. So it's come to my attention upon editing that I actually didn't mention the shadow either properly. And the shadow, I want you to think of the shadow as less of like the evil part of you, like the bad parts of you, or like the bad memories, and more of a repressed whistleblower. It's the part of you that feels like it's not appropriate, that feels inappropriate. And that might not be because it is inappropriate. It might just be that it was unsuitable to bring this specific thought or feeling up at the time. So, for example, it's when you've had a rubbish day and you come home and there's tension and you realise, like, now's not the time to bring this up. But then maybe there's not a time. Maybe you never allocate a time to actually sit and think about it. It's when you get in the car and you think, oh God, work was rubbish. But so there's a bigger picture, something else is going on, so you don't actually allocate the time to integrate the thoughts, the feelings and the memories, and they just get repressed. So that's what I mean by the shadow. That's what I personally mean by the shadow. I know that there's a lot of usages of the word and the idea, so again, thanks. So there's many different parts of you. And those parts of you all come from memories. They all come from places and experiences of which you've experienced, and people that you've been, and etc., etc. And they're all competing for your attention. When they are competing for your attention, that is a sign that you are not operating from the prefrontal cortex, that you're not operating from, which is the part, it's here behind your noggin, as I always say. That's the part of your brain that makes rational decisions, that sets goals, that prioritizes things. You know, it's the rational, logical part of your brain. When you're operating from the limbic system, from the amygdala, from the insula, from the hippocampus, from the emotion centers, so I will say centers, from the emotion centers, from the, you know, your memory centers, your insula, by the way, my favourite part of the brain, because it just is. It's just so cool. The insula is the part of your brain that'll detect things like, so when you're excited, obviously your heart rate goes up. The insula is the part of the brain that communicates with the hippocampus and with the amygdala and says, oh, heart rate's going up. Are we anxious? Is there anything to be concerned about? And they go, no, we feel great. This is fantastic. This is joy. This is excitement, not anxiety. And it's the part of your brain that regulates emotions. So depending on your internal state and vice versa. These three parts of you are all competing, and they are all coming from a place of survival. Like, they're all coming from a place of wanting the best, but the solutions that they have may not be good solutions. Likewise, sometimes you're going to be around people who propose ridiculous solutions. You know, like, there's going to be bad influences in your life. There's going to be people that you meet who, you know, and sometimes those people are close to you, but you're going to have people around you. Likewise to how you're going to have people around you whose suggestions aren't maybe within your actual best interest. Like, you might be having a rough time and they might say, come on, let's just go out and get blasted. Let's just go out and get wasted. Or you might have another friend who goes, okay, right, let's go on a run. Let's go to the gym. Or let's talk. Right, let's sit down, let's talk. And who can facilitate that and hold space for that. And that's incredibly admirable. And I think that the best goal that you could possibly set moving forward into 2026 is to become that person for yourself, become the regulator, become the moderator. And it's not a case of, I take that back, it's not a case of becoming. It's not like the higher self, it's not like, you know, the moderator. It's not like you become the moderator. It's that you suddenly have access to it, you know? Like, the pathways in here that facilitate self-regulation, that facilitate prosperity, is that even a word? That facilitate you being class, exist. They exist right now, I promise. But sometimes we don't have access to it, and not everybody learns how to access it, you know? And I think that that's why psychology is so fantastic, and I want to make this information more accessible. I want to share what I know, but I think sometimes it's really hard to put it into cohesive sentences. Because I'm nervous to talk to a camera. Of course I am. I'm being perceived. I wouldn't just go up to someone on the street and go, stop, I need to tell you about the insula, you know? And that's kind of how it feels making videos. But I hope that I find a corner of the internet that wants this information and who are patient enough to tolerate my ramblings so that I can progress and calm down and actually get my thoughts across better. And hopefully that benefits you, importantly. So, yeah. They're the different types of rambling? Girl, for real. They're the different types of journaling. So, to go over it, we've got, I was about to say communist journaling. I am losing my mind. You've got commonplace journaling, chaos journaling, matter of fact journaling, as I like to call it, and inquisitive, like investigative, like prompt and response journaling. And commonplace journaling, again, just to recap, commonplace journaling is fantastic for when you want to extend an emotion, extend a feeling, extend a moment and make it last a little bit longer and encode the memory a little bit further, and for future reference to go back to it and regain lost knowledge. Chaos journaling, it's amazing when you're overwhelmed and you don't have the language, you don't have the capacity to keep up with the rate that your brain's going at, and you just need a cathartic, immediate release. Prompt and response, it's very investigative. It's about, asking specific questions to get to the root of the subject, it's very inquisitive. And then you've got matter of fact journaling, which is just about opening up, like providing the opportunity, the experience to practice writing about yourself, because it can feel really weird. Like initially, the idea of holding space for yourself feels so weird at first, because it's like, ew, what am I doing? Like, it can just feel really weird. But like I say, you, in order to be prosperous and shine, and I feel like I sounded like Jim there, to be prosperous. If you haven't seen Friday Night Dinner, then you won't understand that reference. Wilson, to be prosperous. But if you have, then oh my god, hi. Love that show. So in order to be your best self, in order to shine and glow and have a good life, god damn it, in order to have a good life, that's what it's about. It's not about becoming a baddie. It's not about becoming the best person in the room. It's not about becoming super athletic. It's not about becoming super intelligent. It's not about being the best spoken person at the party with the best ideas and who reads the best books and knows the best philosophers. It's not about that. It's about living a good life. It's about being regulated. And it's about feeling good. It's about waking up in the morning. And it's about not feeling good and knowing what to do about it, and trusting that you have done this before, you felt this way before, and you've gotten yourself out of it. And that is the power of self-investigation and thorough self-analysis with intention, not just coming from being self-critical. And I really hope that makes sense. I really hope that you've gotten something from that. I really hope that made sense. Fingers crossed. Because I know in my mind what I'm saying, and I know what I mean by that, and I know the lived experience and the benefit of what it is that I do. But when I actually come to share that and I say, oh, well, I write this because it makes me feel good, sometimes that sentiment can get lost within the language that I feel to produce. So I hope that you got that. And I'm so sorry that's dark. I'm going to go get my massage soon. Oh, I'm so excited. I haven't had a massage in a year. But actually in a year. I'm not just saying that because it's the 1st of the month. And the 1st of January. Happy New Year as well. Oh my God, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. you know what, this is nice. This is starting to feel more like a FaceTime and less interrogation. I think when I first put the camera up, I felt like I was being interrogated, like I was being interviewed for a crime or something terrible. And now I feel like I'm FaceTiming a friend, and hopefully you feel like that too. So that's good. Have a lovely night. Have a lovely year. We're going to grow together. I'm going to figure out what it is that I so desperately feel I need to tell you. And I'm going to get better at telling you that. So stay tuned. Stay tuned and have a great night. Thanks.